Good morning, folks, or good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to another video from myself, Fraser. Here we are in Auckland, about to do our last flight as part of our little series revisiting my footsteps when I went to India when I was 19, almost 20 years ago. We don't have a Dash 8 or a Saab to represent. Well, we do have a Saab in 2024, but we don't have one in 2020. And yeah, we have the ATR, which they do now and again use on the Rotorua to Auckland route. Not being too factually correct, because we are in the very old livery here, which I'll discuss a little bit more very soon. But yeah, it's a bit of an end of a really cool trip that prompted me to get 2024, and I'm really glad I did. I've been really enjoying doing those VFR flights that we did around Ladakh and Nepal and whatnot, and that new extension of the game, being able to do walk-arounds and walk outside and explore. It's been really good, so really fun, so I've been really enjoying it. But yeah, here we are in what was basically the end of an era for a very proud airline, which is Mount Cook Airlines. Not a bookend, more of a crossfade. The iconic Mount Cook Lily was replaced by the New Zealand Link livery. This is the old Link livery, no kuru, just the Link titles. I quite like it actually. Although having the kuru, it just makes it look more that your airline has, your airport has an Air New Zealand service, which is quite a sought after thing back in the days. It still is now, as Air New Zealand have dropped a few services. But here we are. Yeah, this is, for me, this aircraft was a few different things. It was the end of an era for a proud airline. It was an exciting future because Rotorua never really got this Link aircraft. Up until these guys replaced Mount Cook Airlines. It was just Mount Cook Airlines and Set, and the Air New Zealand 737-200 flight into Rotorua. So this livery was an exciting start to a future, but also, as sort of a couple of years went on, it was a sort of a sad reflection on an aircraft that I remember being just a boring aircraft, the Mount Cook Airlines. Although I love aviation, enjoyed seeing it at the airport. I did wish for the day that these guys would, Air New Zealand's like other aircraft, the Link aircraft would operate Rotorua, in which they did. And yeah, as I mentioned, after a couple of years, I started to miss Mount Cook Airlines. So this livery represents a crossfade. It's Air New Zealand have now brought out Mount Cook Airlines. They brought this new aircraft, and then they decided we'll put our logo on it. We don't want this logo anymore, but they managed to keep this logo, the last Mount Cook Airlines livery, the blue and the red and the yellow, which you saw me fly in the Flock of Friendship. They keep this as just a little crossfade, just to let passengers know it's still Mount Cook Airlines. It's a subsidiary now. Although in the greater scheme of things, subsidiaries don't really mean much, but only a title here. And as with Mount Cook Airlines, unlike Air Nelson or Eagle Air, which were the other two subsidiaries, Mount Cook Airlines managed to have their little icon, their little, logo at the back here. But yeah, here we are in the old retro Air New Zealand Link livery, and I've decided, well, after doing that flight with the Bangkok Air livery, I've decided to just wait for the aircraft to pull on by. But I've decided that we will do a flight to Rotorua, then we'll do another flight. We'll carry on to Queenstown. So we'll carry on. We'll do like a back-to-back R&P flights, and show you how to work around that. Just once again, show you how to work around that annoying bug that is in the aircraft if you push a certain button. But yeah, so here we are. We will get going. We'll get this aircraft powered up, and we'll head on to Rotorua to end my trip, and then we'll do an extra flight to Queenstown. So we'll get in and we will power it up. So as always, we come up to here. I'm not hard out into my test and all the rest of it, but I will give this a couple of seconds just to warm up before I turn on the ground power, because I need to turn on the ground power anyway, otherwise the battery will drain, and when the battery drains, that's your flight over. So we won't worry about importing the flight plan straight from there, so we'll just do it manually just to save any potential bugs. So go to our position edit page, copy and paste, push that sensor, whatever that STS stands for, go into a nav data. It looks pretty, well, it looks pretty out of date, 2022. Right, I don't know what I'm doing there anyway, but right, let's get our flight plan all loaded up. Might as well get the, actually, I might just use this straight off the bat instead of using that, because it's still got all the information in here. Get the fuel page ready as well. And we'll travel it. It's a very short hop, this first segment, so we'll turn on our ground power now, get that powered up, turn on our nav and logo. What else do we need to turn on? That's it for now. Right, we'll enter this in first. So NZAA/NZRO Rotorua, and we're going to use the old Mount Cook Airlines call sign, so NZM. And just a random flight number. Back in the day, any number that was in the 5000s was operated by the ATR, Mount Cook Airlines subsidiary. 8000s was the SAB. This wouldn't mean much to anyone that was outside of New Zealand, but 2000s were the Eagle Air, which were initially the Barrier EMB 1110s, and then the Metro. Also, they had the Metros, and then in the 2000s they replaced them with the Beech 1900Ds, and that was the last aircraft before that subsidiary was wound down, and the Air New Zealand decided they didn't need a 19-seat aircraft anymore, which was great in a way that it opened it up, the competition, back up to all of the other airlines, which was really good. Now we've got the likes of Sounds Air and Air Chathams filling the little voids and doing really well. And also, then yeah, Air Nelson was the 800s. That was initially the Saabs and the Metros. Air New Zealand used them as the sort of in between the ATR and the Beech 1900Ds, and that was used for the slightly larger communities, and then they replaced them with the Dash 8s, and that was Air Nelson up until a couple of years ago when Air New Zealand decided they didn't need the subsidiaries anymore, and they wound them down. So we're going to depart Auckland, and it looks like the aircraft are all flying out. I'll just make sure this is... Yeah, we're taking off from runway 05. Right, so enter that in. We're going to take the poly-free queue. Transition is tool me, execute. Go back to our flight plan, and from tool me, great thing about this, you can just click on airway and it brings up the available airways, which is H3722. Then you click on this box here and it will come up with the respected airways that this waypoints that come off this airway. So we're going to go Alga. And that's all that we need to do. It's just that one simple flight plan, and we're going to be doing arriving in Rotorua runway 36, which is a really cool RMP approach, flying over the city, flying over my old former house. So we're going to do runway 36 Zulu, which is the RMP approach, and Sucre A3B. That might be it there. It is, so that. And we will go none, because I think Totra is, that's a good waypoint. That's a Maori name for tree, Totra, by the, using my sort of filling in the rest kind of thing. So Totra is a very famous massive tree in New Zealand. Have you noticed a lot of these sort of waypoints, and you might be thinking, what are these sort of names? They are actually named after towns, or a lot of these waypoints in New Zealand have Maori names I've just discovered. Well, not discovered, but when I started flying with Navigraph, notice a lot of them have a very, like, that's got a very Maori name, RET. Yeah, a few others that I've found. We'll pick them out when we come across them. But right, we'll get back into our setting up our flight plan. And what I meant by Totra is we just did the final, because the Totra one is a hold, and we're not going to be doing a hold. And we'll just make sure that is an RMP approach, so that's what we want. A nice little curvy approach into Rotorua, getting us warmed up for the very complex one we'll do when we get to Queenstown. So that's all sorted. We will go and enter in our fuel. We can execute that while we're at it. And we'll travel at 12,000 feet today. We don't need to go up to... We'll just push the magic B to sync our altimeters. Glancing at the... it's probably easier just to do this. Slightly better to see it. Yeah, 12,000 feet is what we're going to fly today, and that keeps us below the... We don't have to fit around with the standard for our altimeters, so that's good. Right, doesn't really make much difference actually. It's just pushing this little thing here and setting altimeters. So that's that done. So we can now go back to data, go to our init page again, we go to our performance page. We're going to enter in now, confirm our cruising altitude. Now it goes all bold, so that means that's in the flight plan. And now we're going to enter in our fuel, which the default fuel is 253, so we'll just keep that. It's going to be a bit overweight, but that doesn't matter. We'll be using some of that fuel for our flight to Queenstown, so 2535 to here. And then we'll get our calculator out, and we'll enter in our zero fuel weight, which is, first things first, I need to put in our estimated takeoff weight, which is going to be 19.5, so that's perfect. So 2535 minus, wrong way one, 19,510, take away, hold up, 19,510, take away 2535 equals 6975 is our zero fuel weight. And that will equal that, so that's perfect. And our reserve fuel, our block fuel is 16 plus 3 plus an extra our 16s. So we're carrying 800 kgs or 900 kgs of fuel all up, of reserve fuel. I think that's right. Yeah, 900 kgs. And that's our trim. We'll set that into here. 1.2, wasn't it? Yep, 1.2, that's set, so we don't need that now, don't need that. And we'll just go through here and just do these checklists. We'll come into here and we'll just reset fuel and confirm our takeoff data. Everything else looks all hunky-dory. Make sure that's, when you're starting up, you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, everything's all confirmed. Right, we'll close her up now and we'll get ready to take off. What we will do is we'll be good and we'll enter in our relative radios. So for Auckland, we'll enter in 14.8 and we'll enter in our ILS for, just in case we have to return. I believe our flight plan is, yeah, we will return back if we had to go around, but we're not going to be needing it. We are going to be landing at Rotorua whether they want us or not. I'll enter in the ILS there, and then we'll enter in Rotorua's VOR, which is 12.1, I think. Yep. We enter it into the standby here. Oh, it's annoying there's no backspace button. I really find that annoying, so I just have to escape and try that again. And then we'll enter it into here as well for our active. Right, and we push these little magic buttons here to bring up our VORs. What you do through here, this is where you do it in real life. This is just a fiction touchscreen that they have, and we'll turn on our weather, terrain. Our terrain, I mean, we probably don't need weather, it's pretty good. And that is basically us. What we will do is we'll enter in our, I don't know if this makes any difference, but this one does. So our trans altitude is 14,000 feet. Next page, next generator is the same, 14,000 feet. QNH, just looking at my, well, it's 1030, that's pretty good pressure, which is the same as Auckland, so 1030 goes into here. And what's the wind? I think it's 67 at 2 knots, so very minimal winds. And make sure, just double check this is entered in. And then we're going to enter in our runway heading into here. We'll do the full shebang for this one. Oh, not that one. So we have that set to the ILS. localizer, and so we can see both. We're just going off this one here, so I'll set this to 51. And we'll do the same for our radio course. 51. I don't know why, I've just seen a few the initial, what would you call them, tutorial flights, and they said to have you set your course and your runway heading into that, so we'll do that. Right, we are ready to depart now, so what we will do is we will go into hotel mode and we'll get this engine started up. Turn on both of our fuel pumps. Get that started. We will turn on all of these while we're at it. Passenger lights can now come on. And we'll introduce fuel into this engine. Turn on the TRU. While that's loading up, while powering up, we will close all the doors. And we will now basically turn on our strobe lights now, because we're going to now activate this next engine. Oh, wrong button. Of course you would check if it was clear, but we did that, kind of. And now we can also release the prop brake. That's all providing power, so we can now disengage the external power. Ground crew can come and release the chocks. And we'll just pretend that they're now departed the aircraft, and we'll go into auto mode for the flight condition levers. And before taxi, we'll set our flaps to our takeoff. Notice wheel steering is on, which is, I keep on forgetting to do it when we push back. It doesn't make much difference, but that's a nose wheel steering if you want to turn it, if you want to be real and turn it off when you're getting pushed back. So we'll turn on our taxi, wing lights, and we can now, you can tell it's all powered on now because that green lights come on, that TRU lights come on, so we can now, before we do anything else, we'll just select heading mode, arm our nav, select your indicated airspeed for your climb, and VNav. You click on that just to make that auto. Right, we will taxi on out. It's a nice livery. I do miss the definitely do miss the Mount Cook. I definitely do miss the Mount Cook livery. The I'll just go through here and just block this guy off quickly. Yeah, I miss the Mount Cook lily on the tails, but I do miss the old original Air New Zealand Link stripes livery. Alright, we'll just brake just a bit, just to bring that speed back just a bit, and we'll just go through and make sure takeoff config's looking good. I don't know why it's pulling to the left all the time. Right, we'll just go for here. Takeoff config set, and before takeoff, we just enter all of these in. We've just got to remember, we'll do it packs off takeoff. Right, we'll actually turn off the packs now. And just remember to remove the gust lock before we take off. Done that many times. Definitely need to get the Jetstar. These are things I'll probably wait for Flight Simulator 2024, but I'll get these Jetstar out and do a little flight around New Zealand with Jetstar. That's the old international terminal over there. Right, once we get past this taxiway, we can get to this one. We'll go travel on taxiway Alpha, which will be soon, guys. This taxiway here will become our temporary runway when they swap it over for maintenance on the main runway there. So this will become, as you'll be looking at with perplex on your look on your face, wondering why is there a runway 23 left and a runway 5 right? I don't get it. So this is, they've obviously kept the runway designators because they do swap between this taxiway here. It becomes the runway. So this will become runway 5 left and 23 right when they do the works on the main runway there. I really do hope for the day when they put in that second runway over there. I really do feel like Auckland Airport should be having that second runway, but that's okay, we'll just deal with this. But yeah, this will become the runway soon, folks, as that other the main runway there will be getting a redevelopment work done on it. Right, what we will do now is we will remove the gust lock, throttle back, because it always does that. And we'll just pretend we've got clearance. I don't see any traffic out there except for that one that's waiting for something, I'm guessing. Right, landing lights can come on, strobe lights can come on, and we are basically good to go. Set our throttles to that automatic cruise climb setting. And we can now slowly rotate. Right, we can now turn on the autopilot, make sure all of these relevant things are met, and we'll just go to manual speed mode just to get it above that flaps setting. We can now raise the flaps, flying over the beautiful Manukau harbour there. These are the plane spotting places now for you to take photographs of planes coming into land. Unfortunately, Auckland got rid of the observation deck in the terminal, which is such a criminal thing to do. Absolutely miss that viewing deck. I reckon it's such an important part of airports. It brings especially families and kids into the action and gives them fuels their interests and their passion in aviation. But taking it away and making people sit out here, you're seeing planes landing and taking off, but you're not seeing like the greater deal of what goes on at the airport, unless you're a lucky person that can afford an air ticket. Right, we'll go into climb mode now. You can hear it powering down, I do like that. Packs can now come back on. We'll just leave that for... We'll turn off our devices and our seatbelt signs. Taxi lights can come off. Get those people into their... the passengers on board, get them onto their snacks, their beverages that they'll get on board this flight. But yeah, I do feel like observation decks are a critical part of airports. It's a critical part. It's getting kids into aviation, and not everyone can be a pilot, but definitely a lot of people can definitely be a ground crew or maintenance or whatever, which is what you'll see if you're at an observation deck. You get to see all of those nitty-gritty things being done. Yeah, I just feel like it's sad that a lot of airports have done away with the old observation decks, and they've sort of gone away. It's not, but one of those classic things, they've ditched their morals and they've just gone for the money, because they know that replacing the observation deck means an extra space for retail, and that's money. But it's unfortunate how the world works like that sometimes. There should be a bit of give and take, bit of a donation really. Donate into the community by having an observation deck. I'm all for that. Right, we're going to be doing the latest update for Navigraph is taking us through this route around here. So we'll be going over Rotorua, then we'll be coming around like that. So that's an interesting thing to do. Usually you just do approach from here, but this is what Navigraph SimBrief suggests. So it'll be a nice scenic flight over the lakes here as we descend and come around this star and into this arrival here. So yeah, there's a lot of content of people focusing on being in the cockpit. So what we will do is we'll just turn off our landing lights now. But yeah, plenty of footage of people just being in the cockpit. So we will just go to my flight plan. I can clear that now. We won't set our altimeters. Oh, we'll go back into automatic mode. But yeah, we'll just focus on the outside world, eh? That's Waiheke Island in the distance there. That's the Hauraki Gulf, full of different islands. It's a really cool place to explore, and a playground for those who have boats, sailing boats, lots of places to explore. You've got the Waiheke Island there, which is got shops and whatnot, so you can pop over there and have a drink. Good winery over there, lots of different wineries, so you can go there and do your wineries. Ardmore Airport, which is one of the New Zealand's busiest unmanned airport. Massive flying school, and a lot of it's starting to grow now with like business jets landing there. And down here we've got the Hinua Ranges. This is a really beautiful part of Auckland. It's this whole area is all protected, as in it's like a big wildlife refuge kind of thing. Lots of really cool rare wildlife live in this beautiful pocket of native forest, such as the kōkako, which is one of our best birds. But one thing I will do is go to cruise mode now, and I will just go to this next page, just clear this discontinuity here. Yeah, so this is full of lots of really cool rare wildlife, and it's one of these really rare intact forest ecosystems that New Zealand's such a unique place in the world. As you can see, it's a long island, covers different temperature zones. So this is like your cold south. This is technically the Southern Ocean here, which is aka Antarctica, and this central part here is the temperate zone, and up the very top of the North Island here, this is classed as a subtropical zone just, and this is one of these rare subtropical sort of forest areas. There's a few species of subtropical plants and trees that grow in New Zealand, but they only grow north, that's probably the southernmost range, then northward, so that's a really nice little forest ecosystem in there. And now we're coming into, that's the Waikato Plains over there, and this is the Hauraki Plains, separated by this little ridge. Not a massive ridge, but there is a ridge line along here. That's the Coromandel, Kaimai's, Mamaku ridge that basically runs the length of New Zealand, all but it's all connected all the way down to Wellington. But both of these areas here, these are very famous for dairy farming, massive dairy farms. All of this area is dairy farms, and there is quite a bit of, along here they call this area the Bombays, which is also famous for growing potatoes and other very rich volcanic soils. They also do a lot of produce growing in some of these farms here. They grow a lot of onions and whatnot, so this is a very fertile part of New Zealand. And then this is closest the North Island gets to sort of high country, this hilly bit here, but that's all your sheep and beef farming. Predominantly beef around here, sheep farming's more sort of the south of the North Island. Into the South Island, that's all the sheep, predominantly sheep and a bit of beef farming, but sheep for the wool. Right, we're going to speed it up a bit. But this is a really cool part of New Zealand. It's a very underrated part of the country. Nice rolling meadows, flat, very green pastures. I used to drive this. There are two ways when I used to do truck driving to Auckland. I was driving along the main state highway, which gets boring after a while, but there's this road along here. I think it's State Highway 26. But something about driving this road, you got beautiful, when you're sitting high up in the cab, you've got this beautiful view, and you've got the mountains, they're more like hills really, in New Zealand scheme of things. You've got Mount Te Aroha, which is the highest mountain in this range here. You got beautiful, like when the sun glistens off it, when it sunsets, it's really beautiful seeing this little range as you're driving past. Flying over Matamata, famous for its horse racing, horse breeding, and around here is a very famous movie set. The Lord of the Rings, Hobbiton, is based around here. Hobbiton, what I meant was the Shire is based around these rolling green plains around here, where they shot most of the footage for the Shire. Now coming over this is now the Kaimais, the Mamakus are over here. Really big forest park along here, lots to explore. Really good waterfall around here somewhere, so if you're in this part of the woods, there's a really nice waterfall that you must come check out. Right, I'm going to go back into the plane now. We're getting close to our, oh no, not quite near our top of descent. But I will see if that waterfall is in here. Probably not. Just going to see what that, give you guys the name of the waterfall if you're ever interested. I'm just trying to look for, but I better focus on the next bit of the Wairere Falls. That's it, Wairere Falls. Very lovely, picturesque falls there. But this is the Mamakus. This is the end of this like big block of native forest, but it sort of all connects up through here. It's sort of all bits of high country through here, and then it eventually wraps around and connects up with sort of connects up with this, and then it carries on all the way down. So yeah, it's all, this all forest is all sort of connected all the way from top of Coromandel all the way down to Wellington there, with a little gap in here. But we're flying over Rotorua now, so we'll get ready for our descent. So we'll set our minimums, and we can now select this to the Rotorua VOR. Where are we? So we're just going to set our, we're just going to set our final approach fix of 4,000 feet to begin with. And 320 is our 1,320 is our minimums, but we won't be needing that today. Looks like a very lovely day here in Rotorua, which in real life is the evening. $320, 1,320, 4,000 feet to begin with. I'm just going to slow it down just a little bit, just to enjoy the view of Rotorua from 12,000 feet. A nice, really beautiful part of the country, where I grew up. Land of the lakes, so you've got all these different lakes. All of these lakes, as mentioned in my previous videos, these are all former volcanic, they call them calderas, they're essentially volcanoes, volcano craters. As you can see, this is a very active area. Lots of thermal pools and whatnot. And we're going to start our descent soon, so we will get focus on that. We can basically set our minimum approach now, our final approach fix, which is 4,000 feet. And we'll just, this looks all good. We've already done all of these, so we can clear that and get it ready on our approach. Nice day over it, or a nice evening in real life. And we'll just silence that. Right, we'll see what it does today, if it does it automatically. Yep, it's following it automatically, so that's good. Right, we will now come into here. We'll just, oh, don't turn those on. We're just going to turn all of these on, because it won't be long before we drop below 10,000 feet. I can clear all of those. Cabin crew, we'll dot those off when we need them. Yeah, flying over the beautiful Rotorua region. That's where the pink and white terraces were, folks. The 8th natural wonder of the world, before that guy threw a tantrum and destroyed them all. Waimangu, which is a really cool forest, not forest, what's the word, geothermal park. And that's one of their like main attractions, is that blue lake there. And you can sort of see like different colours. These are different like geothermal sites. And then the famous part is sailing on they've got a little boat, and they do a little tour around the lake and show you where the pink and white terraces were. Very highly recommended to do that. And then further along, I'm not too sure if we're going to fly over it. Not today, but there's another really good, oh yeah, we are, this is Waitapu, which is another famous geothermal park down here, which you guys need to do when you're, there it is there, that's the, I'll post some photos up, that's the Champagne Pool, which is very famous, and different mud pools and whatnot found in that area. Alright, we'll get back into the plane and focus on our arrival, and we'll better slow down because we are going quite fast for this aircraft. For this approach, I should say. And we'll just speed it up again. What I will do is, while that's doing that, I'm just going to preset my flight to our next destination, which is going to be Queenstown. What I will do is I'll separate these flights into two separate flights, so they're just not one long thing, if you know what I mean. Get that ready for our next flight. And this part of the country, this is a lot of mix of beef and sheep farming, not for wool, but just for meat, and mixed in with these lower flatter areas, which is ideal for dairy farming. That's part of the that water catchment is part of the longest river in New Zealand, the Waikato River. And that's the Mamakus, that's the Mamaku Plateau, that's the end of that forest park I was telling you about, that part of it, but it loops around. This is all most of this is all forestry, but it's still forest, and then it connects up to this big forest park, the Perioras, and then it goes all the way down to Wellington, but it also skirts around this side of the lake as well, this side of Rotorua, and it connects up the Ulaweras, which is a very famous forest park, and then which is this part of the country, then it all joins up again, carries all the way down to Wellington. So what I'm saying is, technically you could start in the top of the Coromandels and basically walk all the way to Wellington by staying almost under the forest there, under the protection of forestry or trees or whatever it is, native forests. Right, we will get ourselves ready for this landing. All the lights are all on. We will just peel back the speed now and we'll start. I'm just going to put this up here so it's sort of out of the way. This is doing quite nicely, this part of the flight, this hitting these what you call it, these waypoints and whatnot, holding this descent, which is pretty good. This is the ATR on a good day. We've definitely got the ATR on a good day when everything performs as it should and it's a joy to fly. And then other days it just throws a hissy tantrum, and what we will do now is set our altitude to our minimums. Or what we can do is actually, another little workaround is just scroll it up to our missed approach. Make sure it stays in VNAV pass. You just have to select it again. And we'll wind that up to our missed approach, which is 4,000 feet, which we don't. Once it gets below 4,000 feet, we'll just wind it back down to... And that's how you work around that annoying VPath, that, not VNAV path, that VPF, whatever, I can't remember what it is now, but that's the workaround for that. So we're going to lower our landing gear now, select flaps 15, and we'll just clear these. But basically, the only things you need to get out of it is make sure your flaps are full. You set this to takeoff power, and another thing I don't think it's on that list, but just make sure it's reaching that VNAV path, which it is. And you select these to full power just in case you need to go around. And we'll select flaps full. And our stunning approach into Rotorua, which I can't wait to be doing this purely in Flight Simulator 2024 because it looks a lot better in 2024. There's none of this generic texturing, it's all really good. And my home place was around this area here. I used to walk to the race course here. We used to walk our family dog there. And that's the redwoods, that's the famous redwoods forest that's got that you would have heard about, where you do your redwood walks, and it's full of really famous bike tracks. A really cool place. But I'll definitely do a tour around this area as a standalone. That's Sulphur Bay there too. That's, as the name suggests, it's all basically sulphur. Oh, it's almost like pure sulphuric acid, not quite, but birds that nest in here, they have their the sulphur eats away at their webbing in their feet, so a lot of our swans just have the toast but not the webbing. Just a useless bit of information there, but it's really beautiful when you look at it. But it's quite a lots of microbes and stuff that thrive off that sort of habitat, but vertebrate speaking, it's no fish live in there. It's quite a toxic environment, but great for microorganisms and algae and whatnot. Birds are not insects, but just no fish. Right, we will turn off the autopilot and we'll do the rest ourselves. Not quite following it like the Airbus, it's not the Phoenix quality this, but that will do.
Approaching minimum.
Into my hometown of Rotorua.
Minimum. $200. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
That sounds like a nice, reasonable landing there. It's really hard to know if you landed it perfectly or not because it still makes that clunk sound. Right, and that's us landed in Rotorua. That's basically our trip all ended, guys, and thank you for coming along for the journey. We'll taxi up and we'll power it off, but we'll carry on to Queenstown, but we'll do that in a separate video. Right, we will just get it all set up now, so turn off our landing lights. Flaps are up, we'll just go through and just clear this whole thing. But what basically asks us to do that we have to physically do is turn off the landing lights, turn off these probes, turn off that TRU thing, and select these to auto, select that to select our gust locks, just clear this warning light. And once we get close to the airport, we will feather our engine 1 and then turn it off outright. Which we will do now. We'll pretend that it's had its cooldown period. And just keep the throttle, engine number 2 throttle up. I'm going to attempt a single engine taxi. What we will do is we'll just make sure, sometimes if you get that throttle is up high, it just messes it up with the whole thing, so just reset it again. Right, we'll turn off our strobe lights now, turn off our taxi lights. And getting close to our turn off bay. And we will go for gate number 2 right in front of the terminal. Right, we'll turn off our engine number 2 completely. Because it was a northerly wind, we will park in the northerly facing I'll just get outside so I can see what I'm doing. And that was one of my better single engine taxis there, folks. Bit rough there. Don't think I can speed it up to straighten that wheel. No, that would be fine. Parking brake can now come on now. We can now feather that. And then we'll actually lock it in place. Beacon lights can come off. Turn on that ground power and keep it on this page, but we can now turn off our engines. And that, folks, concludes our trip down memory lane. We've made it back to Rotorua. Didn't fly here. My parents picked me up. But here we are. What I'm going to do is just change this frequency so it's... But yeah, thanks heaps for being a part of this journey. It's been a really good, enjoyable trip. Revisiting the places that I went to as a young teenager. Not a young teenager, a young adult. And yes, really enjoying flying the ATR at the moment. It seemed to be getting the hang of it. But we'll stay tuned, folks. I'm gonna separate this video, but we'll carry on down to Queenstown. But for this segment of this series, that's it come to a close, and we will see you very shortly when I upload the next flight plan, and we'll carry on down to Queenstown.